Hello, my friends. Anna Sabramowitz here, and I help people draft and write awesome, engaging scenarios. Okay, so I actually ran a Facebook Live earlier today. However, I had to delete it because I was trying to share an example using Facebook Live, and even though I have this plugin now for the ability to share my screen, unfortunately, you can only do sharing screen or talking. You can't do both. You can't swap back and forth. So I made this whole video, and I didn't know that. So I made this whole video, and there was a whole sequence in there where I'm basically staring at the screen as the example that I'm showing you is playing. So you hear some goofy music and weird door clicks and my face going, oh, oh, right? So anyways, we'll do that one differently. I have to plan for some sort of swapping there and actually to show you things that are happening without my face being there. So the reason I wanted to shoot the video is because I had a customer recently, well, actually they were one of my students. So they recently asked me when they were designing the scenarios, one of the things that they get frustrated with, and it kind of, it overwhelmed them when the first time that they were designing a scenario. So now they're kind of afraid to do it because they find it intimidating. And the specific aspect that this person found intimidating was the idea that once you start designing a scenario and you get into all the options, how do you keep track of all these things? Like you lose track of where you're going. And so one of the things that I decided to show is this interactive video example, which was an experiment that the developers at Typeform did. And Typeform is it's a form company. So if you've ever filled out a form like SurveyMonkey or Google Forms, they're kind of like that, except their forms are more sophisticated, more user-friendly, and with some premium features, you are actually able to do some back-end branching. So if somebody chooses this option, it takes them here to this question. And so what they did is they created this experiment where they used that branching feature option in the background to create an interactive video experience where a video plays, something happens, you get to choose where you go, and then the story progresses based on your choice. Choose your own adventure. Interactive video is amazing. When I shared it with the people on my list, they thought it was amazing and they enjoyed it immensely. But then one of the things that we have to be careful when we look at that is I looked at the developers who are not instructional designers, they're not in education, they just wanted to use this tool to create something engaging and interesting. And so what they did is they blogged about the process. And one of the pictures that they show in this blog, and I'll share the links underneath, one of the pictures that they shared is them sitting around like this whiteboard, and they're doing this, and the picture that they have on the board for planning the scenario looks kind of like this, right? So that's start, and then 1, 2, 3. So once you get to the third option there, you could see you've got a lot of like this. You add one more question, it gets like it exponentially multiplies, right? So that's why when somebody designs a scenario this way, when they start at the beginning, whoops, and they start branching, you could easily lose where you're at. And so the point of what I'm going to talk about is twofold. So there's two pieces of advice that I gave my customer. I said you don't write all the branches at once. You actually start with one branch only, the optimal path, especially at the very beginning. And then 2, you have to figure out where you want your person to go. This is you trying to replicate optimal, infinite options, right? It actually doesn't work like this, because this will simply get away from you. And if you have a message here that you want to share, it'll just get diluted with you coming up with all these bogus options. So this is how you draft your scenarios. This is how you start. The S is where your person is right now. The F, that's a start. This is the finish. So at the finish, you have to decide that where they're going to be in the finish or in the future. So now or in the future. So what you do is you have to decide where your learner is at this very moment and where you want them to go. The to go can be something like a mindset. What do you need them to believe to take the next step in their learning pathway? What do you need? What kind of ahas do you need them to have to motivate them to, let's say, reach out to somebody and have a mentor? What kind of perspective shift do they need to have? So we're seeing what kind of journey this person needs to have, and then we draft out the decision points that will happen at each one of these sections. So you probably have, like, let's say, I'm going to go back to something like a broken coworker, let's say. So with broken coworker, at the very start, somebody was very, which is an interactive, okay, I'm just going to use an example that everybody's going to be familiar with, because I don't want to reference it and then you won't know, but I'll put the link to broken coworker below because I think you'll enjoy it. So let's say somebody is a brand new leader at a company, and you have developed all these leadership resources. But the thing is, everybody who's right here does not know that they have gaps in their skill set. They have no idea. So you're building this for somebody who's unaware. And at the very end, what you're going to do is create several situations where people who are unaware would be blatantly fumbling. And so at the very end, what they're going to realize is that they have some gaps because the outcomes of the decisions that they made throughout this path did not align with what they thought they knew or what they thought they were good at. And then at this very point is where you're going to say, hey, you know what? We've got to, now that you've gone through and you realized you're not as awesome, or you're half as awesome as you thought you were, or that there's certain things that you don't have the right perspective on and you need to work on that. Here's a book that we recommend. Here's a course. Here's a whatever lesson that would be helpful to you. Because one of the things that we struggle with as we design this learning is that people don't perceive the value or the need for the training that is delivered to them, right? Well, that's because they haven't perceived the gap. So that's what the scenario is, right? So anyways, so if I offered them the book up here, they'd be like, whatever, I don't need that. I'm all good. I'm a leader. I'm top of the, and then down here, when they've gone through some situations that actually challenges that and you've done it right, then it's awesome. Then they're like ready for that book. They're hungry for it. They're like, I want it. I want to get better. Or I think I need some help. So I love when the scenario is used in that way. We're not teaching them anything always. Sometimes what we're doing is we're helping them figure out what is it that's missing. So, so those are like basically the two things. You start with that single branch, single optimal path, let's say, and then what happens is, you never lose yourself because you've got that path, and all your branches or the key decision points are aligned around that path, and then you really can make it as complicated as you want, but you never lose the end goal. And so everything else is a bonus. It's not that you have to now try and think of how to tie all of these little bits and pieces together to like your final piece, right? So I hope that makes sense, and I hope that was useful. Now, if you liked this, share it, and give me some comments if you have other scenario design related questions, or if you are struggling with your own scenarios, branching especially, or the simple ones, because you can keep it very simple and still have it be a profound lesson for somebody. Also, if you want to work with me, I have 2 spots available in the next quarter. So if you have a scenario that you want to work on and it's like very now, you can get in touch with me and we'll see if I can help you. So the place to get in touch with me is scheduleanna.com. I know that's pretty awesome, right? And there you'll see a form, so you can book a free strategy session with me, and we'll see if we're a good fit. And otherwise, yeah, share this video and let me know what you thought and if you found this useful. And if you have any questions about the process, I know I did it all on stickies, but if you have any questions about that, let me know. And my next one, I'll try and figure out how to do more interactive screen sharing. Okay, take care, friend. Bye.